Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Got 4 games in the W here on Tuesday, then 2 games on Wednesday, and then a break as they go into the All-Star game, and then the Olympics. So there's a little bit of a break until the middle of August for the W. We're still going to be rolling it along here with NBA and the Summer League, as well as all that Olympic content as soon as we're done with the W. But we've got 4 games with projections and a number of picks in there. Quick reminder that all of the picks end up in Discord before the videos, so you can make sure that you get the same exact numbers that I'm throwing your way here. If you do want to check that out, link in the description of the video. For now, let's get right into Tuesday's 4-game slate. Other thing you'll find if you do jump into the description of the video is the link to a free trial for Outlier.bet, best tool around. Modi and I are going to be using that during the live stream here on Tuesday as well. So make sure that you do at least check it out and see if it's something that you like, because it is the best tool right now for getting all your sports betting info in one spot. One more bit of business before we get into those picks for Tuesday. The show record, not a great day as I was going out to Summer League. 0-3 last week on Friday, but we're going to go ahead and pick it back up here. Summer League has also been really good to us, up about 2.5 units there. So hopefully you're following along in the Discord. It's really the sides and totals that are keeping us going here. 9.33 units up. We're back only up to about 0.5 on the player props. I got a couple props in here, though, looking to pick that back up on the record for those. First game we're looking at here, we got the Mystics playing host to the Mercury, and all of the injuries are on the side of Washington. Same 3 that we've seen out for most of this year, which is Shakira Austin, Brittany Sykes, and Katie Samuelson. A couple things that are going to be ways that I'm playing those injuries in terms of some props in this one. So let's just jump right into the head-to-head matchup. So what we're looking at here for both teams, not really good on opposite sides of the floor. So for the for the Mercury rather, they are 5th in offensive rating. That's really the calling card for them when they have been winning games. They're scoring above about 85 points or so per game in their wins over the last month. The losses, not so much. Those go down in the points and under 80 points per game, about 75. So when they get above that 85 mark is when you can really bank on them being a lot more successful, mostly because they can't stop very many teams, and so they're going to have to score more than the other team as they're giving up a ton of points. Both teams playing fast. I mean, the Mercury have picked up the pace a lot in the last couple months, whereas the Mystics have actually slowed down a little bit all the way to 7th and gotten a lot better on defense as well. Problem is they're not really good anywhere else on the floor other than somewhat limiting teams from scoring and their ability to at least knock down open shots, especially because you see Stephanie Dolson playing center and she takes all her shots from up top. Neither of these teams is very good at rebounding, though, although even though the Mercury are 2nd worst overall, I would still give them a little bit of an edge in this one, especially with Griner and Copper out there. So we'll see if they're able to take advantage of that with about a 3.5 point spread that they need to cover. What I'm showing you for the Mercury offense is actually the last 10 games, because I think it's really important to see how things have been since they've been at full strength. Diana Taurasi's missed a couple of games in the last 10, but she is going to be back in this one. And what they do the most is 3-point shots. Now, this used to be a lot better for them in terms of 3-point attempts and the makes. It was up at about 3rd in terms of the attempts and about 3rd in the makes for a while. Not been the case for a little bit. Now they've dipped down in the last 10 to 6th and 5th. The free throw attempt rate stays high for them, especially with Copper and Griner obviously in there, able to get to the line a bit more. That's where they're going to have their advantage, especially against this Mystics team that gives up the most free throws in the league. It's the reason they've been at the bottom of the league for most of the season is because of the fact that they give up the most and they don't get to the free throw line. It's going to continue to be a problem for them in this game. As far as what the Mystics want to do, they have a bit of an advantage in the strengths that they show on the floor as well. Points off turnovers, 3-point attempts, and their makes as well. They are also a good shooting team from deep. That's how they've gotten that effective field goal percentage up a lot higher. And for the Mercury, they're the worst 3-point defense in the league. So I'm not really sure I am sure that if they're not able to limit what the Mystics want to do, this thing's going to be pretty close. It's actually gotten bet down from the opening number at about 5.5 or 6 on some books, all the way to about 4.5 for the Mystics right now if you want to take them, because of the fact that they are a pretty good matchup for the Mercury. I'm going with a player prop for my first bet in this game. We're taking Julie Van Loo over 8.5 points. Love the plus money that we're getting at plus 105 on Bet365 for her to get this number. Hopefully you can get this as soon as you see the video and it's still available at that plus money, which is another reason to head to the Discord so you make sure you get these numbers on time. But the key here is that Carly Samuelson is out for Washington, and she is out now for the season. And Van Loo, since coming back from injury and now playing without Samuelson, has looked really good. So with Samuelson, under in 6 of 17 games this year, only about 7 points per game, fewer shots, fewer threes especially, and fewer minutes in those games with Carly Samuelson. Without her, we're talking about over in 4 of 7, 27 minutes a game, 9 points. much better, 2 more field goals, 1 more 3 that she's taking. So the volume is there for her without her teammate. Love the plus money for this one, especially against the worst 3-point defense, as we mentioned, for the Mercury in the league, giving up the most points from above the break. This is where someone like Julie Van Loo should be able to take advantage, get some catch and shoot, get some stuff coming off the pick and roll as well to get some open looks in those spots where the Mercury are the weakest. Next up is a game between two very familiar foes atop the East. We're talking about the Sun taking on the Liberty just a couple hundred miles away there from Connecticut to New York. But the key here is that Breanna Stewart is questionable and Lainey Hamilton is out already. We know that for sure, whereas Connecticut doesn't really have anybody you need to know about on their injury report. So this thing's probably dropping in terms of the spread right now. I believe most a 5 is the only number hanging around as I'm recording this, not a 5.5 if you wanted to bet on the Sun for this one. Head to head, we've seen what these two teams look like when they face off. A 3-point game last time in Connecticut just a few games ago, where the Liberty did end up winning that one by 3, helping us cover because I did take the Liberty in that one. But now we're talking about two teams that are going to match up super well, both playing really slowly, especially for the Liberty, who have toned down that pace. Early in the year, we're about in the top 4. Now they're in the bottom 3 in terms of their pace on the season at 10th. And we know the Sun are always going to play slow and depend on defense, depend on rebounding, but they do have an advantage in this one. And they did lose by 7 the first time that these two teams played in Connecticut. But then, like I said, lost by 3 last game, had a chance to win and tie things at the end and couldn't do it. But it's the shooting that continues to give you pause about this Connecticut Sun team, especially when you're talking about futures and their ability to win the league. You know, the Liberty have overtaken them now with the best record in the league at 20-4. And if they do play without Stewie, though, 5.5 is too much for me for sure. Looking at what both these teams do, starting with the Sun on offense, the Liberty D up everything that they want to do super well. Points off turnovers, second chance points, and getting to the free throw line. The Liberty, best defensive free throw defense, I should say, in terms of limiting their opponent's free throw attempts per game. That's going to be huge against a team like the Sun. But it's the same concept on the other side of the ball here for the Liberty. They want to go out and get into transition, number 1 in fast break points, or they want to shoot those threes, or both, shoot the 3 off a transition. Well, the Sun have the best transition defense and the best 3-point defense in the league. It's one of the reasons you also see this spread, or the total, all the way down at 153.5. When you think of the Liberty, you think of a high-scoring, high-octane offense, but this is very, very low, especially with Stewie out, who's probably worth 3-4 points to the total alone with how efficient she is on offense. So if she's not in there, I love this bet. Even if she is in there, not this bet, but if she's in there, I do think the Liberty are more likely to win this game. But I'm banking on her being out, to be honest. So I am taking the Sun at 5.5. I think the public, and I think sharps, more importantly, are going to be on this Sun team. I just think 5.5 is too much for a very close matchup on both sides of the ball, especially with the Sun playing a little bit better up top. Now that Ty Harris is also back, she missed a couple games here and there over the last couple weeks. Her resurgence back in the offense is crucial because of shooting up top, which is really one of the only shooters that you trust right now above the break for this Sun squad is Ty Harris. But I think either way, for them, anything over 5.5 is too much on both sides of the ball. And if the Sun are able to do a little bit better job defending the 3, which they will if Stewie is out, she's so crucial to their perimeter offense, then we're going to feel a lot better about the Sun being able to at least cover 5.5 points. Jumping right into this other game here, third one on the night, Sky and the Aces. Should be a pretty good one, but it's a pretty big spread. It's just, I like what I've seen from the Sky when they show fight, but obviously last time they lost by 12, had to come back just to lose by 12. They were down by about 20 at one point close to halftime. This is all about what the Aces can do on offense and what the Chicago Sky cannot, right? They're both middle of the pack in terms of the defense that they've been playing. Chicago looked pretty good. Aces have only continued to get better on D, but that offensive rating, they stay at 2nd in the league, and Chicago 11th. And that's really what it comes down to, just the trouble that the Chicago team usually has scoring enough points to hang around with its defense giving it a shot. The Aces are playing at the fastest pace. They'll continue to do that probably for the rest of the season now that Chelsea Gray is back. They have so many weapons and ball handlers in space that they are going to continue to be. I mean, they're the defending champs for a reason, right? The rebounding is the thing that gives you pause about them. And it was one of the main reasons that the Sky were able to cover 12 points last game when they only lost by 12 because of getting second chance points and outdoing the Aces on the rebound. On the glass specifically. If the Aces aren't able to do that, 13.5 points, mostly because of this rebounding disparity, is a big reason why I give pause to just betting on the Aces here. When you look at the Sky offense here, they're very, very good in a lot of those miscellaneous categories as we talk about points off turnover, second chance points, fast break points, points in the paint. really good at all four of those things, in the top 5 of all 4. Best in terms of paint points, as we've seen Angel Reese do some work down there, and Cordoba as well. But for the Aces here, they D up exactly what the Sky want to do as well. So if they can kind of, last game, they were going to win that thing by 20 until they really just took their foot off the gas in a lot of these areas, which is giving up paint points, giving up fast break points, right? That's where they started to just sort of lack in the second half. And that's how come the Sky were able to close the gap from about 25 points to about 12 to end that game. So if the Aces play to their full capability on defense, they should still be able to limit all the things the Sky actually do well on offense. For the Aces offense, they should have a good amount of luck, or success rather, not luck, if they do get into to transition and attack the basket. Now, we know they want to shoot threes. Chicago is a very good three-point defense, but if the Aces drive to the bucket, get to the free throw line, get out in transition, that's where the Chicago Sky defense is the weakest, and probably the reason that they'll win this game by double digits. It's just a little bit too high for me to take 13.5 right now. So I am going to go to a player prop in this one and hit some Jackie Young over on her 17.5 points, -122 on FanDuel. Tried to go under for the assist for Jackie for a similar concept why I like the points in this one, which is Chelsea Gray runs the offense, right? And she's the one who really helps everybody get into their spots, get open looks, and makes things easier for her teammates like Jackie Young. So with Gray, she's way more efficient on the floor. Her shooting percentages much better for Jackie when Chelsea Gray is out there with her. Over in 8 of the 11 games that she's had her teammate Chelsea Gray on the floor with her, 19 points per game, 48% from the field. Really good numbers, and really good 3 numbers, which are much better than when Gray doesn't play. 17.8 points, so about 1.5 points more. She's going to get hers, right? Jackie's like good in all facets of the game, whether it's off the dribble or coming around a screen or whatever. But she's things are easier for her, just like any basketball player, regardless of how good they are, when she's got a really solid facilitator with her, and that would be Chelsea Gray, who's helped her get a much better field goal percentage. That's a really big disparity between those two. And then specifically where the Chicago Sky are bad on defense, that's where Jackie should continue to excel, which is getting to the bucket to get to the free throw line and getting out into transition, where Chicago does not do a good enough job of getting back. And Jackie should be able to get her points that way as well. A strong lean to the over. Haven't bet that yet, but I would at least tell you that. Going to throw that in the Discord as soon as I make a final play and decision on the total of this one. Final game of the night here. Some pretty big names as well that are going to be missing here. So you got Cameron Brink and Lexi Brown still out. Brink, as we know, out for the season. And then Skylar Diggins-Smith, not much that we've learned about her injury. She had to leave the game on Saturday and did not return. That's left her questionable for this one, but we don't know much yet. So it's difficult to actually make too much of a bet because of how important she is to this game. Looking at the head-to-head, though, the offensive rating and defensive rating and everything, much better for Seattle. This is a bit of a mismatch here. 8.5 points is the spread for a reason. And for the Sparks, it's just that they really don't do anything particularly well, really. I mean, outside of Dearica Hamby doing everything that she does, this team just really doesn't have much to it, right? They're 7th in rebounding, which is basically their best attribute because of the fact that Hamby does so much work down there, but that's the only thing that they can really hang their hat on. There's not much for them to brag about in terms of their abilities, and this Seattle Storm team is still a better rebounding squad than LA. Looking at the Storm offense, going to be tough for the Sparks team to hang in things like points off turnover, second chance points, fast break points, and points in the paint. 4 of those really key categories that help you win a basketball game on offense. And the Storm can do all of it really well, and the Sparks don't stop any of it really well. Bottom 4 in terms of 3 of those 4 categories, and then 7th in limiting second chance points because Hamby will get those boards and shut you down when you try to get to the offensive rebound for second chance opportunities. But that's really it. And they're still only 7th in this category that the Storm finished 3rd in terms of getting second chance points. And then, as I was saying, the only thing that you can really look at here for LA, they do have the second highest free throw rate because Hamby gets to the free throw line so much. She's such a problem that teams have to foul her. And then you look at the offensive rebound percentage. Once again, Hamby just doing individual work on the offensive glass as well to try to get them some second chance points. But if she's not able to get it and go back up with it on her own, doesn't really work for her to kick it out, as this team does not hit very many threes or anything of that nature. The Storm, not as good at limiting free throws or getting limiting the offensive rebounds of their opponent, but still good enough that you would think that they're going to be able to kind of handle this team pretty seamlessly. I don't have a bet, but definitely want to check back in that Discord as well, because I am leaning pretty strongly into taking the Seattle Storm, even if Skylar Diggins doesn't play. And that is all the time that we have for you in this one. Make sure to subscribe to that page and jump into the description of the video for the link to both the outlier.bet little trial here. You can get free for 7 days and see if it's something that helps you out as much as it does me while you're betting on these games. And then also check out the Discord link that's in there if you do want to come in there. A lot of really wicked smart people that are jumping into the WNBA channel. And we've got everything else in there going right now as well. MLB and some NBA Summer League for myself, like I mentioned. So definitely make sure to check that out. Until I see y'all next. Happy betting.